All right, folks, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Basically, thank you again so much for your time. My name is Nikita Patel, and I'm Director of Content at RebelMouse. And I've been at the organization for a few months, and we actually have some great news. Today is actually our birthday. RebelMouse turns 1 today, and we're very excited for that. And so it's perfect timing that we're having this webinar, and I'm here to give you an overview. My background is that I am Director of Content here, and my role entails working with journalists, social media editors, and newsrooms alike in terms of using the platform, in terms of thinking of storytelling and news gathering in very different ways, and how that translates to reporting, to your websites, and storytelling as a whole. And before I joined RebelMouse, I was social media editor at ABC News. And then I was actually on the product side doing social media at CNN Money. And so, it's just an exciting time sort of in the world of social media as new tools and platforms emerge. And so I'm here to give you an overview of RebelMouse. A lot of people ask, what is RebelMouse? We are a real-time turnkey publishing platform. And that basically means that we're not here to replace your CMS, but we're here to complement it. We want to add a social media layer on top of your CMS. And this means that you can aggregate and curate social content. You can even post original content in a highly visual way. You can easily embed RebelMouse anywhere too, and you don't need any tech or design resources really, which is really great. We believe that RebelMouse allows you to ignite your social media team and your editorial team and empower them too, because we believe RebelMouse empowers the social web. RebelMouse is mobile web friendly, and we do have Android and iOS apps coming soon. We also offer teaser modules. You can place these modules full of your social content that's being powered by RebelMouse across your site, and they really help to amplify your social presence, boost engagement, and even potentially referral traffic too, which we all want at the end of the day, or our newsrooms do anyway. And we also offer sponsored content units too, so you can, better monetize placements on your site. In terms of the company, our founder and CEO is Paul Berry. He was the former CTO of the Huffington Post, and he's absolutely amazing to work with. We have a world-class team of developers, about 30 across the globe. Our core team is in New York and Manhattan, and that has folks from Google, Cloud, VaynerMedia. So Paul has really assembled an absolutely amazing team. Sorry, I just jumped off of the presentation. There we go. We also have an all-star board of investors and companies that support us. RebelMouse is part of Lyra Ventures, and that's also associated with BuzzFeed, with Now This News, and various other companies. Jonah Peretti from BuzzFeed is actually an angel investor. Gary Vaynerchuk also. So we have a lot of great support for the company. And it's been really great now that we're 1 year old. So many publishers are using the platform and doing really neat things. And so it's everybody from Time Magazine to the Wall Street Journal. Here are some examples from Fast Company and from MTV. And so, each and every day, my job is to really work with a whole myriad of publishers from, across the world to TV stations in Germany, to the Times of India. And it's so thrilling that we've seen so many interesting folks use the platform. In terms of curation, that's kind of the number one thing that people ask me. RebelMouse is amazing in that you can curate as much as you want, or maybe even do a little bit, as less as you want to. And so there's a number of ways to curate. You can add hashtags, handles, Twitter list, a myriad of social feeds from Instagram, Pinterest, in RSS entails like YouTube. In terms of video, you can add vines, you can add tout. It's really kind of endless of the different ways to kind of add content to RebelMouse. And a lot of sites, maybe in breaking news situations, actually pre-moderate content too. You can have content going to your drafts tab, or you can actually send it straight to your front page too. It just kind of depends on whether you're curating content from user content, or from journalists in your newsroom. You can also post original content and curate that onto the site too. You just go to your front page and click on the box that says, add a link, photo, video, or blog post. So that's how you can actually start a post. And when we say add a link, you could link to a tweet, you could put a link to a Vine. So it's really robust in terms of being able to, manually add content. We also have a stick button too. And this button always sits in the dashboard. And then all you do is just drag that up to your toolbar. And then it basically gives you a WYSIWYG tool where you select an image, you can edit a headline, so forth, add context to a post, and easily add something to your front page on RebelMouse. And it's very similar to Pinterest's Pin It button. And we also have a method of curation too, where you can favorite content. And this to me is really exciting, especially during breaking news situations where maybe you're out in the field covering something, but you want to be curating tweets. You could use the mobile app, you could use Hootsuite or TweetDeck, and so as long as you have a Twitter account synced in, you can start favoriting, and then those tweets, you can set those to go straight to your front page or to drafts as well, which is really amazing in terms of real-time curation. We like to think that on RebelMouse, you can really highlight your best social content. And think about it, with people posting things across a myriad of social networks at any given time, that you want to be able to freeze these atoms and really preserve posts and things like that that really have an impact. So, I absolutely love this example. Right now, there's a lot going on in Turkey right now, and someone tweeted this photo saying, the revolution will not be televised, it will be tweeted. And I just thought this was really fitting to kind of show you today. In terms of different ways to use RebelMouse, we like to think that we have a lot of different solutions that maybe could help solve your problems. Basically, we're constantly looking at different memes and fun things out there. So we ourselves have created a site called flashmemes.com, and I'll show you that momentarily. And it's just really fun. It has RebelMouse sites set up for every kind of meme that you can think of, including like planking and vadering and stuff like that. And so a lot of sites love to kind of set their own meme pages up and have fun with sort of viral things that are going on. Even, important stories. We've set up millioncameras.com, and that's a great hub to see where different sites are using RebelMouse to curate content from different places, such as Turkey and all these kind of movements and protests and things like that that are happening in the world. Folks use RebelMouse for different hashtag kind of campaigns, for Twitter chats, events, meetups, user-generated content. They even use it to solicit questions for interviews. One fun example was Marie Claire. They were interviewing Nicki Minaj, and they used RebelMouse to kind of, ask for questions and then highlight them in a really visual way. We've seen, so many journalists and people use RebelMouse for weather coverage. That always has interesting visuals. And then different movements too. I was talking about Turkey just a second ago. And even just a general social hub. We've seen a lot of sites just kind of sync in their main social accounts and then generate a really beautiful looking page that aggregates their social presence. We have a new feature called Editor's Picks. And basically, that's a series of teaser modules. And I'll show you an example of this momentarily. But imagine if you have a Twitter list then of hundreds of people, hundreds of journalists in your newsroom or editors, and then you can take that and then filter that by hashtags or even domains, like your website's domain. And then you can have that flowing into a nice module on your homepage, across your story pages, and you can even embed the entire thing on your site too. This then becomes a really nice way in real time of people to see your voices in your newsroom, what they're sharing, what stories that matter coming out of your newsroom the most in a really visual, social way. And so that's live on Time Out New York, and then a lot of other publishers are launching this too. So I'll show you that soon. And then talent pages, a lot of journalists themselves or on-air talent are using RebelMouse to kind of showcase their social content as well as their own coverage as well. And so it's nice because you could use a combination of RSS and then obviously social, and have a really nice bio page for yourself, whether you are an on-air personality or a reporter or what have you. And also different sites are using RebelMouse to power their homepage and section fronts too. And so that's pretty neat to be able to try to do that. We've seen really great engagement and an increase in recirculation from different partners. We power the entertainment fronts of various newspapers in the LA News Group, and mainly entertainment and lifestyle. And they kindly shared with us that they've seen a 10 to 30% increase in page views, which is amazing. A lot of other partners and friends of RebelMouse have told us that time spent has doubled as well. And so, it's really great to hear that the platform has an impact on, major sites or even individuals. And a lot of folks do ask about analytics. So one thing I wanted to mention is that a couple of things actually. You can see stats per post. When you're logged in and you're on your front page, you can hover over a post and see the stats button. There you can see front page clicks, page views, and even like social page views as well. We do have Google Analytics integration for powered sites. We have XRS tracking as well, which basically means that any share URL on RebelMouse, or whether you embed RebelMouse, like you can track that in Omniture. And hopefully we will have Omniture tracking coming down the road, since we know that a lot of publishers use that primarily. Moving on to embedding really quickly, I mentioned that you can embed RebelMouse anywhere. The JavaScript code that you can generate in the dashboard can be plugged into a story page, blog page, or a section front on your CMS. You can use a WordPress plugin that we have. You can embed on Tumblr. It looks really great. It's super easy to just grab, generate that code for whether you're embedding a full page version or even just a right rail version, and easily plug and play with that. And I'd mentioned before too, you can even use RebelMouse to power your own domain, or a domain for your website too, if you like. In terms of design, we have a few different layouts to choose from. So RebelMouse Classic, with that top story in the center with small modules around that. We call that top story the splash. So another layout that we have now is Center Splash, with layouts down them. We have a new layout that's just small modules. Hopefully we're going to have a great new layout launching in the next few days that has a really big top story across the whole top section of the page. And so it's really exciting. We also have a bunch of, custom themes for you to choose from. And then if you're on the design tab in the dashboard and you keep scrolling down, you can even create your own custom CSS theme too, so that when you embed, it really looks and feels like your site. You can match fonts, background colors, and so forth. And it's really fun to be able to do that. And here's an example where I had mentioned the modules and kind of editor's picks. This visual is Time Out New York's module, and it looks really beautiful. It's visual, it's social, it's real time, and their Twitter list has hundreds of people on it, but it's only pulling in content from timeout.com, which is really powerful. And I can show you that dashboard to see how they set it up in a few moments. But yeah, using the embed code from the dashboard, you can easily create a sidebar module. You can do editor's picks, and you can have up to 5 posts. And we always generate modules with images, just because we feel like those will definitely get you better click-through rates. Obviously visual content performs a lot better across social. Rebel Alerts. We recently launched Rebel Alerts, and that basically means that you get an email every day of your social activity. So whatever you're curating into RebelMouse shows up in your alerts, and it looks really nice. You can forward these to people. People can subscribe actually from your RebelMouse site, so you can build your own subscription list. We've also integrated with MailChimp, which is really nice, and that's only for powered sites, but that basically means that you can sort of manage a subscription list, maybe edit the subject line and curate some of the content, and maybe even do a little customization in terms of the design. So this is kind of our first foray into alerts. And hopefully we'll be having a lot more features and enhancements and adding different vendors soon too. So that's really cool. In terms of monetization, obviously this webinar is geared towards journalists, but I wanted to touch on the sort of business side of things just for a few moments, and say that we do have a new product we're testing called Rebel Ads, and we have a charter program for that for big publishers. And basically, what that means is that in the past with traditional ad campaigns, they take months and months to plan. And even just scheduling ad campaigns and so forth is not the easiest thing to do. And so like I said, we've been testing Rebel Ads, and we think it's a significant change to sort of the traditional online advertising kind of space, and that you can think of branded content as ads. And so some folks say native advertising or sponsored content. Our version is Rebel Ads, and the purpose of those ads is to reach the right person at the right time and deliver a clear message. The thinking is that you're more likely to summit Mount Everest than click on a banner ad. That's a quote from Solve Media. And it's kind of true. Like, we're trained to ignore banner ads, but when ads are placed natively, it's just more inherent for you to engage with them. And so we feel like Rebel Ads can really help bridge that gap as sort of like the medium is shifting. So, if you yourself are on the business side, or if your newsroom is looking to boost monetization of social content, or you just want to connect your sales team to our team, you can just email platform@rebelmouse.com and ask for more information. So a great example here in action is this Oreo RebelMouse site. And so think of the Super Bowl, right? In the middle of the game, the power goes out. Imagine if Oreo could change a real-time ad across the social web. And so they're already curating their social content, and then in seconds, they can update their ad in real time. And that is something that's completely new and amazing and exciting for brands and advertisers alike. So this is just kind of a flavor of that. So moving on. Oh, here we go. All right, so in terms of kind of first steps, basically as journalists, you can sign your newsroom up. You can have your fellow reporters and editors, get their own RebelMouse sites. Then once you do, you can move content around on the interface. You can freeze content. You can shift things up and down. You can really customize it. You can really make your own RebelMouse site really personal and really fun. You could also integrate that onto your own site. A lot of sites are creating real-time theirdomain.com or new.theirdomain, like we power GE's social hub, for instance. And they've embedded their entire RebelMouse front page there. But you could just create those teaser modules, or we could power your blog for you. There's a lot of different options. And in terms of powered sites, those are really awesome because you can remove RebelMouse branding. On different RebelMouse sites, you have the featured and following modules. You can remove those. You could integrate Google Analytics, Typekit, MailChimp, as I was discussing with the Rebel Alerts. And powered sites are actually only $9.99 a month, which is really awesome. So, if you ever have any questions about that, you can always email us. And the best way to reach us, is early@rebelmouse.com. And then our Twitter handle, you can always tweet us questions and things like that too. And that's just @RebelMouse. So now I'm just going to go ahead and dive into showing you some really fun examples of the platform. So some of my favorite examples are, here's Now This News. We power their homepage and their various section fronts. And Now This News is also part of Lara Ventures and is a really fun, fairly new, mobile social video startup. And so it just looks really awesome on their interface here. And they're a very visual, company, so it's a good fit. This next example I want to show you is the Wall Street Journal and Fashion Week. As you can see here, it's their header here, an ad, and this graphic banner that's all in their own CMS. And then they just used our embed code and plugged in RebelMouse right below that. And what they did here was really awesome. They just basically created a Twitter list of their various boots on the ground, and they were filtering that by WSJ fashion. And then they were also added in their Instagram handles and filtered those by the hashtag too. so that only Fashion Week content was showing up here. And so as you can see, if I keep scrolling, it's really beautiful runway content and fun images. And then they have this set to keep scrolling. You can set RebelMouse to do that, so you get to the bottom and it keeps loading fresh content. Or you can actually just, you can set a height when you grab embed code, so that, you know, if you have to have your footer in display, you can set that too, which is really nice. So the next example I want to show you is Fast Company and what they did at South by Southwest, which I thought was really amazing. They created this really great page, and at the grill at South by Southwest, they were having folks do vines, and they basically said, use this hashtag and tell us what innovation means to you. And so this was really perfect for Fast Company, given the things that they cover and what they do. And so they embedded these vines right here on their site. And they have some really fun ones. There's Dennis from Foursquare is in here somewhere. Cory Booker is too. And oops, my computer is going a bit crazy. Sorry about that. And this was just a really great way of keeping, you know, starting something at South by Southwest and then keeping it going, because they kept, you know, spreading the word on Twitter and their other social networks to get participation. And this was just a really fun project for them. Another great example to show you is PBS voting rights. This is a really awesome example where, so NewsHour has used us for breaking news as well as big packages, and we absolutely love what they've done here. Basically, this is their big Voting Rights Act of 1965, this project. And if you keep scrolling, you know, they tell you a little bit about the project, and then you see the embed. And what they've done here is they've frozen a SoundCloud playlist right into this splash, into the top story, which is really awesome looking. And then all around that, they have all these vignettes coming from their Tumblr and also from RSS, which is additional like stories and audio. And so, you know, this just makes for a really beautiful presentation of telling a meaningful story. The next example I want to show you is a really fun one. This is Fox's website. And basically, you know, a lot of sites use the platform in terms of social TV. And so when the following was airing, Fox came to us and said, we want to do something really neat and really different, and we want to house user-generated content in a fun, different way. So we said, hey, okay, why don't you create a RebelMouse site, you know, embed it on your site with your look and feel so it looks really awesome. And then they had a hashtag ShockCam, and they wanted to just get people's reactions. Every episode, there are a few shocking moments, and they did this beautifully. What they did is they have this Vine. So as you can see, it's really fun, where they say, tweet your reactions, you know, using the hashtag, and you'll be featured on the site. And then they were curating those reactions right here. So if I scroll down, you know, you start to see some of the people's reactions of shock and horror and stuff. And so, you know, you could totally tailor like a mini social TV campaign based on any news programs that you might be doing, anything different in that regard. And so yeah. And then I had mentioned before, you know, we've set up millioncameras.com. And so here we have different tabs for sort of protests and rebellions, storm watches, weather content, you know, different big stories that make a huge difference where user-generated content and social media is part of the story. And so here's where I was saying we actually are experimenting with a new layout too, where the top story image is really big and takes up, you know, that whole top section. And then if you scroll, and here you can see different RebelMouse sites of different things too. You know, we have journalists and newsrooms using the platform, but then also individuals out there also using the platform to kind of tell different stories and things that are going on where they live. And so, you know, Million Cameras is really great to come and see coverage of different things. And then I'd also mentioned Flash Meme. And so, you know, I absolutely love this site. We have everything from, you know, Prancer-sized vines to Harlem Shake and so forth. So, you know, if you ever wanted to work with us on any of this content or embed it in your site, you know, just drop us a note early at rebelmouse.com, and we're happy to kind of help you, whether we're curating this content or whether somebody else in RebelMouse's ecosystem is. We're kind of happy to connect the dots and for awesome fun things to happen. So here's the Prancer-sized site. as an example of hilarious content that people are sharing. So yeah, so really that's kind of the nuts and bolts of things I wanted to show you. Maybe show you guys one other thing with regards to kind of social TV and just kind of using RebelMouse in really different creative ways. Hopefully this will load in a minute. But basically a few weeks ago, there was a story of these women that were held captive in Cleveland. And, one escaped, and so then the rest were kind of freed, which was really, really great, and was thankful for that. And so, we worked with Anderson Cooper with AC360 because they were doing a special that aired that Friday, the week the news broke. And so what they decided to do on their blog, and this is WordPress, is that they created a special page because of the show, and it just kind of gave information and tune-in information too. And then right below here, and sorry things are taking a while to load. I think my Wi-Fi is not very good here. But then as you can see, then they created a RebelMouse site that then had mini bios and vignettes of missing kids from around the country. And they also worked with this organization as part of that special. And so, we absolutely loved how they used RebelMouse here in a really creative way to kind of spread awareness of like trying to see if anyone knew any information about any of these missing kids. And so think about, as you're trying to brainstorm and think about how to use RebelMouse, you could take an example like this where you're taking content and you're trying to make it social because it's important and because you want to have an impact and because, your community might be able to help really unite somebody and their family again. And that is huge. That to me is super important. So I definitely wanted to show you this. So that really brings my slides and so forth to the end of that. And so now I was wondering if anyone has any questions, let me know. You can raise your hand and then I'll unmute you if you do. Okay. Hi, Jillian. I see that you raised your hand. Do you have a question? Jillian, can you hear me? Oh, okay. Never mind. Okay. Jennifer, I see that you've raised your hand. Do you have a question? Jennifer Connick, do you have a question?
I didn't. I didn't even touch the button.
Oh, strange.
Sorry
Okay.
about that.
No problem. I'm glad you joined us, by the way. Thank you so much. Hi, Kim. I've just unmuted you. Do you have a question?
Yes, I'd like to have an email sign-up box at the top of the screen embedded there, stay permanently. Do you have to have a powered site to do that?
Actually, no, you don't. And so that's one really great thing is that if you have, when you embed RebelMouse, and I'm going to show you Wall Street Journal's example here really quickly. If you keep the About module active, like when you go to the Embed tab, if you keep that visible, should I say, then people can actually sign up for your alerts right here when you do embed. So that's only on the full page version, not when you have the right rail modules, but this is a nice workaround too. You can also just forward those emails, your alerts, to other people to sign up to them. And then also on your RebelMouse site, you can send them the link to that to subscribe there too.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Hi, Chuck. Do you have a question?
Yeah. Do you have any recommendations for making the page not look too busy? When I developed mine, the page just had a busy look to it, and I was trying to clean it up a little bit. But what recommendations do you have to making that a little bit more streamlined?
Sure, that's a great question. Basically, if you go to the Design tab within the dashboard, we actually offer several different kind of tips and tricks on how to really streamline, your page and so forth. So it does depend on where you're trying to embed RebelMouse. If you already have, an existing header and footer and things on your site, but then, so, maybe it's a question of changing up things on your existing site a little bit to kind of simplify the design and make it look a little calmer. And then when you embed RebelMouse, then hopefully then everything kind of might look less busy, if you will.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sure, thank you. Hi, Donna. Do you have a question? Oh, no. You there, Donna? I see that you have your headset on. I've unmuted you if you do have a question. Oh, all right, sorry. Maybe you can email me if you like afterwards. Any of you guys are welcome to email us, questions early at rebelmouse.com. And you can also, email me directly, Nikita at rebelmouse.com too. Hey, April, I see that you raised your hand. Do you have a question?
Yes. Just about customization for the font and so forth. So I know it seems like there are a few stock fonts that you use. Do you have to upgrade in order to change that? Or basically, what are the customization options with the free version?
Sure, and that's a great question. In order to better answer that, let me go ahead and log in to the dashboard, and then I can kind of show you some sort of tips and tricks and explain that too. So I'm going to sign into my site. And so I'll address your question, and then I think I'm actually going to do a deep dive into the dashboard. I'm an admin on multiple sites, so you'll kind of see a lot of different things come up, unfortunately. All right, so I'm going to go to the dashboard and then design. So basically, to answer your question, you can use any one of these layouts. We have a bunch of default custom themes. And then when you create your own, basically, if you're going to use a public font, whatever is available, you can actually just plug that right here into the CSS. And if I keep scrolling, bear with me here, we do have all these tips and things. And so this goes to the gentleman's previous question as well on declutterizing and styling things. But yeah, if you're using a public font that's available, you can easily just use that. And then we also do have Typekit integration, and that is only for a powered site. But if you did have a Typekit account and were using those kind of fonts, you could plug the ID in here. But for the most part, public fonts are free to use right here on RebelMouse. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. All right, so before I take any more questions, I'm just going to take a quick spin through the dashboard. I realize I hadn't done that yet, so let me show you a few fun things. Basically, I'm testing that big new top story layout that I had mentioned. So hopefully this is launching any day now. And so as you can see, it looks so crisp. You have a great image. Video looks really amazing in here. It takes up the full width. And you can actually edit any post on RebelMouse. So whether you have content automatically being curated in from a hashtag, or whether you manually add content, as mentioning, you do see options. If you just hover over a post, you get these options to repost, to engage with the content. You could see stats. And here, basically, you can see front page clicks, page views, and social. You can actually edit a post too. So you could add a headline. You could actually even create a post on this. And so you can add information down here, use this WYSIWYG tool to kind of really edit your copy and things like that. And what's nice is that you always have a preview over here on the left. And here's where you can actually also curate with subpages too. And I'll talk about that really briefly. The biggest difference between a RebelMouse site is that you can have up to 25 different feeds. And that's everything from social, RSS, and things like that I'd mentioned. Then we also do have subpages. And those are really great too if you just want to curate in a very simple kind of way. They're not as robust as a site yet, but we hope they will be. But subpages are great, if you just want to pull in everything from a specific, a Twitter handle or a hashtag or even just tags. And so when you edit a post, here's where you can say, I want this on my front page or not on my front page and just on a subpage, or maybe you want it on both. So I thought that would be fun to kind of show you guys. Sorry, my computer is being a bit difficult. Basically, when you hover over that, you can also move posts. You can actually just drag and drop versus selecting move here. But you can also freeze posts too. A lot of sites in this big top story area put a big call to action, an infographic, something visual that they want to be preserved there. So you could freeze something permanently, until I remove it, or for a certain amount of time, by minutes, days, hours, which is really nice. And you can actually remove content too. And so, anything on RebelMouse can easily be, see, I'm dragging and dropping something, and this fits nicely to fill the space. And so there's a lot that you can do directly here on RebelMouse. On your front page, I had mentioned email alerts before. Here's where people can subscribe to you. And then in terms of adding content, you could add a link to a story, any kind of tweet, a Vine or something, photo, video, or create a blog post. You just click on this blue button here that says preview, edit, and post. And here you go. You get that whole post template again where you can put in your headline. You can add an image or a video, or even an album too. That actually creates a slideshow on RebelMouse. A lot of folks don't know that you could have a slideshow blog post, which is really quite cool. And then down here in the WYSIWYG tool, you can have a whole myriad of text, and then you can also stack images on top of each other in a post and make a really cool blog post. So that would be good to show you guys. In terms of RebelNav and creating subpages, we get a lot of questions on that. Basically, when you create a RebelMouse site and you sync your social accounts, we actually generate RebelNav for you just to kind of show you how it looks and works. But only you can see that as an admin. If you're not logged into the site, you wouldn't be able to see that until you edit those pages and actually make them public. And so the way to kind of tweak those is you click on this icon here, the pencil one. And as you can see in my RebelNav, I have a few test pages and different subpages that I've played around with. And so you can actually use RebelNav to link to, a different RebelMouse site, a subpage, or any URL too. So you could link back to your own site. Here, as a test, I was linking to Snowfall the other day, just as I was playing around. You can keep these navigation items public or hidden. That's up to you. And then I was saying before that if you wanted to create a subpage, you would just do that here. You click on plus Rebel page, and then you just name it, you state what it is, put in a description if you want, and then if you're curating any hashtags or handles from here, you could easily add that in. And here you can just drag and drop to reorder things, which is really nice. And then I'd mentioned tags before too. Anything being pulled into RebelMouse automatically starts to have tags attached to it. So you could easily create a subpage within seconds based on tags that our database knows that you use a lot. So here, as you can see, it knows I obviously retweet at RebelMouse a lot. I post content from Mashable, YouTube, CNN, TechCrunch, or hashtag NYC. I post a lot of Instagrams about New York City. And so within minutes, I can create a subpage that will automatically pull in anything, with hashtag New York City in it, which is really nice to be able to do that. So, I definitely think that you guys should play around with RebelNav and subpages, and I think they're going to get really awesome in the future and be a huge part of your sites. And then just jumping to the dashboard now, a few things I wanted to show you is that a lot of folks don't know that you can actually have multiple admins for a RebelMouse site, which is really nice. So if you're creating one for your newsroom, you could use one of your newsroom's Twitter accounts to actually create the account and whatnot, but then you can have multiple admins. You just go to invite someone, and then you just need the email address that's associated with their RebelMouse account, and then they'll get a notification saying that you made them an admin. And then when they log into their RebelMouse account, then they'll be able to see here the site that you've added them to. And then that's how they can toggle to a different front page or a different dashboard as well. So that's exactly what a lot of social teams do, so they can all kind of manage pages together. And then Sites also just kind of shows you what social accounts you have synced into. One thing to note is that RebelMouse is by default a visual platform. When you sync accounts and add hashtags and different things, by default we only show visual posts. So we only show content that has images and video because it just looks so much better on a RebelMouse layout. But you could actually pull in posts without any images if you wanted to as well. Sometimes if you're just trying to get reactions or something to breaking news or something, maybe people are just tweeting sort of how they're reacting. And if you wanted to do that, you just go to Edit Sites here. And if you scroll down, you can just do Publish Post Without Media. If you check that, then your plain posts and tweets will start to appear, or from a hashtag, for instance, too. So that's worth mentioning. And here on Edit Sites, you could change your site name, would alter your URL, so you might want to avoid that maybe. But the title is what displays on your front page. Here's some SEO fun stuff, description, keywords. You can change your avatar if you have the URL for the image. About is that description on my front page. And then when I was mentioning how you can curate with favoriting things on Twitter, here is where you could say, send my favorites to drafts, or you could have them just going straight to your front page. It's up to you depending on how you want to curate things. So now going to content and feeds, here's where I say all the magic happens, where you can put, those 25 feeds in, and you can add anything. Basically, you can add single usernames or multiple hashtags. You could add in a Twitter list, and that Twitter list could have hundreds of people on it now that Twitter has upped the ante for that. Once you do put that in, you then have the option to be able to say, post only tweets and not my retweets, or post both, or save everything to drafts, and maybe you're going to curate from your drafts tab, or just post everything straight to my timeline, to my front page. And then on top of that, you could add in filters, usernames, hashtags, and domains. And I'll show you a live example of domain filtering in Timeout's dashboard. I showed you their teaser module, and so I'll show you their dashboard to see how they set that up. With Instagram, Tumblr, RSS, Pinterest, when you add those in, you always get this option to be able to either post to your front page or save to drafts, depending on how you want to curate that. With Instagram, you can also add filters in, which is really nice. We have this rating system. A lot of folks ask what that means. So this is basically a ranking of the feeds. So 3 stars says that this feed is very important and place this content up front and up top on my front page. And 2 stars tells the dashboard, my Instagram is sort of important to me. So then it will pull that content to the middle of your RebelMouse page. 1 star means this has a low priority. So it's kind of nice that you can rank these feeds, and a lot of sites have multiple feeds coming in here. And with things like YouTube, you can use YouTube RSS. With Facebook, even though you can only have 1 Facebook page, added on sites or a page that you're an admin of, you could generate Facebook RSS to have different pages coming into. So those are some tricks that folks might not know. All along the dashboard, here's that stick button I was mentioning before, which is our version of pin it button. You just drag that up to the toolbar, and then it looks like this and acts exactly like the pin it button. So you can choose an image, adjust your copy, and publish content. Drafts, I had mentioned that before. Here's where your @replies and those kind of things go, and also where duplicates go. RebelMouse is intelligent enough to know if you have posted an Instagram and then tweeted it at the same time, 1 version goes to your front page, and then the second version, comes to drafts, because we don't want duplicates on your site. And so it's very easy to actually curate content from here. So a lot of journalists do that during breaking news. You can just hit post. You can actually engage with the content too if you like, or you can just remove something outright. So this is really nice. Hopefully we'll be improving drafts in the near future to have search filters and things like that. But for now, it's sort of on a post-by-post basis, or you could remove everything like entirely, or just the first 30 items. So it all depends on how you're curating. And you can have multiple admins curating things at the same time too, if you like. So I thought that was worth mentioning. Design, I'd showed you that before, where you can pick your layout or a theme or generate your own. Embed, here's where you generate that JavaScript code for your site. You can embed your front page or a sub page. You can, like, front page is that full page experience, or sidebar is those teasers, those modules I was showing you. And you can toggle whether you want, 2 posts, 5 posts in there, it's up to you. Height, flexible height means that you can have your embed keep scrolling endlessly, like the Wall Street Journal example I showed earlier, or you can have a fixed height, which means that your footer will then be visible. And you do then get an inline scroll so that, a user can still scroll through content. And then you can pick a scroll bar theme, depending on the background of your site. Once you hit generate, this one line of JavaScript code is all you need to put into your sub-index, story page, blog page, and that's it. And it's just a different variation for that sidebar code. And this is super simple and easy to use. And we have guides on, using the WordPress plugin and how to embed. And we have a special guide on how to embed on Tumblr, for instance, and whatnot. So I'll show you our blog momentarily, but our blog is an amazing resource for tips and tricks and information too. So moving on to goodies. This is just icons, graphics, follow buttons, that kind of thing, if you ever needed to come and grab any of this stuff from here. Email. This is where I was mentioning the MailChimp integration for a powered site that could help you manage your Rebel alerts. You would just come here and do that here. And this is also your personal email notifications too. And stats, this is for powered sites with regards to Google Analytics. So if you did have a powered site, you could easily put in your ID, and then probably about 24 hours later, then you'd start to see RebelMouse Analytics in your Google Analytics dashboard, which is really awesome. So yeah, that's really kind of the nuts and bolts of RebelMouse. The blog I had just mentioned is just rebelmouse.com/rebelmouse. And it is actually a living, breathing blog that our whole team actually maintains together. And so as you can see, we have, sub-pages for all kinds of different blog posts for how-tos, FAQs, publishers is one too. And so if you keep scrolling, you can see we have blog posts on pretty much everything. How to use, RebelNav. There's posts on Twitter, using Twitter lists and advanced filters. And here's one about using the bookmarklet and so forth. So we like to always write a post every time we launch a new feature and enhance something. And then on the Publishers tab, I basically create mini case studies and posts based on different things. And we have a bunch of tips and tricks on there too. Sorry, the Wi-Fi is a bit slow today. But it's a great resource. Anytime you have any questions or anything, we always have a myriad of posts and guides. But then, of course, you can always email us too, Early at RebelMouse, and myself, Nikita at RebelMouse as well. So without further ado, I think I will take some more questions. All right, so Charles, I see that you raised your hand and I just unmuted you. Do you have a question? Are you there, Charles? Nope, okay. Okay, David, this is Nikita. I just unmuted you. Do you have a question?
Hi, Nikita. I do. Sorry, I joined the webinar a little late. You might have covered this. How does using RebelMouse impact SEO?
That's an awesome question. And SEO is very important to us. And so basically the best benefit to using RebelMouse and boosting SEO is if you do power your site and if you have your own domain, then, sort of like it's your own domain and then all the social content, and that adding freshness is what helps you rank high on Google. And then also I had just showed the dashboard, and if you go to the Site tab and Edit Sites. You can also add in your meta description and keywords there too. And so we're constantly tweaking the platform and improving things in order to make SEO better, because we understand how important it is. So yeah.
Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome. Hey Donna, do you have another question?
Hello.
Hi Donna, how are you?
Oh, I am fine. Um, I'm really new to RebelMouse, and I've got my page set up, and it's pulling into, and I have a headset, so I don't know why you're echoing. It's pulling in perfectly to the page I set up, but frankly, I don't know what to do now with it.
Okay. Well, do you, are you a journalist? Do you cover a beat? Or do you have any hobbies or anything?
I'm a poker journalist.
Okay. Oh, that's so fun. So yeah, basically, I mean, you know, you can use RebelMouse in so many different ways, right? To cover sort of like your beat or events or things that matter to you, because the platform is so visual. Or you can almost make it like your own news feed, right? Of just things that you're reading and sharing that are interesting that other people might like too.
Well, I guess I don't know how to take it and use it on my site. I don't know what to do with it.
Do you mean in terms of embedding it?
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I have WordPress sites.
Oh, great. Okay, so we have a WordPress plugin, and basically, if you go to our blog and or just Google actually RebelMouse and WordPress plugin, it will pull up, and then we have instructions on how to do that.
So with the WordPress plugin, is it just for using it in a specific blog or what?
Yeah, so you could use it on a sort of blog page within your blog, or even just power your entire WordPress blog too. It's kind of up to you how you wanted to integrate RebelMouse. But
so
yeah.
how would you power your entire site with it?
Well, that depends on if you did want to, if you just have a domain and then you wanted that to go straight to your RebelMouse page, then that's just a question of adjusting your DNS settings and your CNAME. And so
well,
we can.
I've had my site up for 3 years, and I don't want to lose what I have there.
So maybe what you could do is create like, you know, your name .com/social, and maybe that is what links to RebelMouse or where you embed RebelMouse. A lot of folks have done that too, where they do have their own site wherever that's being powered from, and then RebelMouse is just like an enhancement on a different page maybe.
Well, you were showing some of the big sites, and I guess I don't understand how they did that, how they used RebelMouse with these big sites.
Sure. Well, they just took the embed code from the JavaScript embed code from the dashboard, and that's what they then put into their content management system. A lot of publishers have these huge, you know, CMSs that help them manage their website, so they can create stories and section fronts and things like that. And those pages already have like their header and right rail, their footer, their ads. And so then all they're doing is setting up one of those kinds of pages and then adding in the JavaScript code. And that's it.
Can you show me that?
Sure. I'll show you one of the examples I showed before. So the Wall Street Journal. So here you can see their entire header, their site navigation. This is one of their ad units. Even this Fashion Week graphic is all hosted on their servers on their site. And then right here is just that one line of JavaScript code that pulls in their Fashion Week RebelMouse page.
So everything below Fashion Week is pulled in from RebelMouse with just one code.
Yeah, just one line of JavaScript code. So why don't we do this if you like, because I want to answer a couple more questions before we end. But if you like, you can email us and then we can help brainstorm with you and then try and help you get set up so that you're kind of happy with things and everything looks great.
Well, I guarantee you that there's a lot of other people that have the same concern. They get a pretty page with RebelMouse, but they don't know what to do with it.
Right. I mean, technically you don't even have to do anything with it if you don't want to. It's completely up to you.
Well, it's so pretty. Why not?
Exactly. That's what I say. All right. Thank you so much for your question. And
Thank
please
you.
do ping us. We'd love to help you. I'm going to move on to the next question. Hi, Mathilde. I've just unmuted you. Do you have a question, my friend?
Hey there. I'm also hearing an echo for myself. I'm sorry about that. I actually do have a headset. My question should be pretty straightforward.
You unmuted me by accident, by the way. I think that might be causing some problems with echo.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. All right, does that help?
Yeah, looks like it. Okay,
brilliant.
perfect.
Thank you.
What was I going to say? Oh, right. My question should be pretty straightforward because it's very nitty-gritty. I've noticed that, like, in the suggested tags when you're creating, I don't know what all the technical terms is, but when you're creating those extra tabs for different content or whatever, when RebelMouse suggests hashtags, sometimes they'll come through. Some of them will have caps, but then it might suggest like duplicate hashtags, one with caps and one all lowercase. So I was wondering whether the tags are case sensitive or not.
So that's a great question, and I've actually been on a different thread with a different partner about this, and so we're trying to make it so that they're not case sensitive because, I'm looking at my tags now, and maybe sometimes I might capitalize, like, New York City, it might be mixed case, and then sometimes it might be lowercase, and so we're trying to fix that so that it sort of doesn't make a difference. But if you see specific examples of that where it's not working out the way you want it to, you can always email me, and then the team will kind of drill through and kind of help you get to the experience that you want.
Sounds good. In doubt, I've just gone ahead and like added both different versions of a hashtag.
Awesome.
So yeah. And then on a similar note, I think sometimes, and I actually can't reproduce this myself because I don't have this issue, but I think I've heard of several people at Cox that are at several of our newspapers having issues. They created accounts for their newspapers with Twitter, but then they can't seem to add the Facebook page. So I'll follow up with you separately about that by email. I'm not having this issue, so I'm able to add their Facebook pages for them, but for some reason they're not able to.
Definitely, yeah. And so that's a really great question. So let me answer that real quick before we end. So Facebook can be a little bit finicky sometimes in terms of their API. And so several users actually have this problem. So basically what you have to do is if you log in, then you may have to just disconnect Facebook entirely, log out, and then when you re-log in, if you're an admin of the page, then your name kind of shows up, and then you can select the page that you're an admin of. It is annoying, but it's just this weird Facebook quirk in terms of authentication.
Okay, perfect. Well, I will suggest that next time it happens.
Yeah, so definitely try that. But then again, you can always email us. We are all over email. We love responding and helping people out and improving the platform. So you know how to find me personally. Everyone too. Shoot me an email or email early at rebelmouse.com. And so on this note, I'm going to end the webinar because it's been an hour. And thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. We're going to be doing, this is the second, Rebel webinar we've done. We're going to be doing different ones every month with different themes. And so, hopefully, we'll be doing a lot of publisher ones as well, because obviously that's a huge part of our user base. So stay tuned, follow us on Twitter and email us. And this webinar it is being recorded, so we will send out the link afterwards. And so thank you guys all so much for joining us, and take care. Have a good one.